Hello, friends, and welcome to the English version of Defense Matrix. Today, we're going to talk about the Indian Navy's fighter arm, discussing aircraft currently in operation, aircraft which can possibly be purchased, and of course, the indigenous carrier-based fighter jet currently under development. Presently, the Indian Navy operates a single aircraft carrier, the INS Vikramaditya, which is a Stobar type carrier with a capacity of 26 aircraft. The Navy's inventory consists of 45 Russian origin MiG-29s. As is well known, the availability of MiG-29 is rather unimpressive. According to a report published by CAG, its availability is estimated to be only about 30 to 40%. This means that on an average, any given MiG-29 can only be operational 30 to 40% of the time. But recent unofficial reports state that this number is now much better, up to 70%. And thanks to improved coordination between the Navy and the manufacturer. The Navy's fleet of 45 MiG-29s is split into two squadrons, INAS 303, also known as Black Panthers, and INAS 300, which is commonly referred to as White Tigers. Considering only the Vikramaditya for the time being, that is a capacity of 26 airplanes and a best case scenario of 70% availability, the Navy has 32 airplanes ready to be deployed at any point in time. Clearly, with a carrier that can host 26 aircraft and 32 airplanes available to the Navy, the equation looks pretty good for the carrier to be at its full potential. This comfortable picture changes when you take into account the induction of the upcoming second aircraft carrier, INS Vikrant. The capacity of INS Vikrant is also estimated to be about 26 airplanes. Together, the two carriers can operate a total of 52 aircraft as against the 32 available aircraft at the Navy's disposal. Clearly, the Navy needs more airplanes to fully reap the benefits of two aircraft carriers. Now, speaking of India's indigenous twin-engine deck-based fighter, or TED-BF as it's called, development is proceeding full swing and the aircraft has been going through wind tunnel testing. There are news reports that work is also being done to decrease the radar cross-section of TED-BF, further moving it along to make it a 4.5 plus generation aircraft. The Navy is collaborating closely with ADA to stay on track from a project timeline standpoint. Once the developmental stage of this 13,500 crore rupee project is complete, the first flight is scheduled to be in 2026. If it goes as planned, the TED-BF will enter service sometime between 2030 and 2035. Even if it's inducted in 2035, it'll be in time for the retirement of the MiG-29s. The development phase is expected to be relatively short, as it will be deriving its avionics from the AMCA. The TED-BF is seen as a replacement for the MiG-29, and although it'll be a great replacement hands down, the hard reality of timelines is that it'll be around a decade before induction. Until then, the Navy will have to balance the limited inventory of aircraft between the two carriers. And we're not taking into account the possibility of a third aircraft carrier, which is actively being considered. If the third carrier gets approval, the Navy may need about 100 aircraft available at any time. So the important question is, what is being done now? An RFI was floated by the Navy in 2017 for 36 deck-based fighters, and the main contenders were the American FA-18 Super Hornet and the French Rafale M. There were news reports last year that the Navy is working with the Air Force for its carrier-borne aircraft needs, thus putting the Navy's order alongside the MMRCA-2 tender. If this happens, it's quite likely that the Rafale may be the aircraft of choice, since the Air Force favors that over the Super Hornet. However, no further information is yet available on this matter. But from the Navy's perspective, it's not clear if the Rafale would be the ideal platform, as the Super Hornet seems to be more suitable considering the Navy's requirements. One of the advantages of selecting the Super Hornet would be the engine commonality with the upcoming TED-BF, because the TED-BF would also be based on the GE414 engine, and that allows for streamlined logistics and maintenance. The second advantage would be that the Super Hornet is manufactured by Boeing, which is also the manufacturer of the Navy's P-8I aircraft, thereby increasing the interoperability between the airplanes. The third advantage is that the Harpoon missile, which is currently used on the P-8I, could also be operated from the Super Hornet. Then, consider that the Super Hornet has foldable wings, unlike the Rafale. The FA-18 Super Hornet has been successfully tested from ski jumps. And finally, considering the alliance of Quad and the required interoperability between the Indian and US navies, it might make better sense to use an American platform rather than a French one. At the end of the day, there are apprehensions and questions raised about whether it's a good idea for India to rely on American platforms, as things tend to change drastically whenever the administration changes in the US. In this situation, a deal that appears beneficial today may not be the same tomorrow. However, that remains an open question and a possibility to contend with. India continues to develop and mature its own platforms, and the Indian Armed Forces continue to reduce external dependencies as they move to homegrown platforms incrementally. And on this note, we come to the end of this video. If you enjoyed this update and would like more like this, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Jai Hind.